The training arena reeked of ozone, sweat, and fear. Cadets lined up in formation under the blistering suns of Varkesh Prime, where even the wind carried a growl. Among them stood Lieutenant Mara Holt, the only human in a sea of alien recruits, scaled, feathered, furred, and clawed. Humans weren't supposed to be here. Varkesh Academy trained the apex defenders of the Galactic Alliance, elite warriors bred from predator species. Yet, there she was, a woman from a blue planet that the galaxy still whispered about in equal parts awe and disbelief. The instructor, a towering reptilian veteran named Croth, paced before them.
Discipline. Control.
Dominance, he roared. You do not pet the beasts. You command them. Each cadet knelt beside a small containment pod. Inside each glimmered a hatchling, genetically bonded war creatures known as direlings, predators so vicious they could rend steel once matured. Their training began with imprinting, one wrong move, and the beast would rip your throat before recognizing your scent. Croth stopped before Mara. Human, he spat, his forked tongue flicking. Your fragile kind should have stuck to nursing drones, not handling predator stock. Mara only smiled. Permission to begin bonding, Instructor? He sneered. If you're eager to die, permission granted. She crouched and tapped the pod's control pad. The containment field flickered out. Inside, a shadow stirred, a direling cub, dark-furred, with luminous eyes and needle-like teeth. It growled, low and guttural. The surrounding cadets stepped back instinctively. Mara stayed still, her posture calm, unthreatening. Hey there, little guy, she whispered. The cub lunged, fast as lightning, and clamped its jaws around her boot. The entire line of cadets gasped. Idiot, Croth bellowed. Restrain it before it. But Mara just chuckled softly. Easy, easy, she said, barely moving. He's not attacking, he's teething. The class stared in disbelief. The cub gnawed harder, tail twitching, making small, frustrated whines. Mara knelt down and gently scratched behind its ear ridges. Slowly, impossibly, the direling released her boot and leaned into her touch, purring with a low rumble that shook the ground. Croth's jaw hung open. That is impossible, he growled. Not impossible, Mara said. Just empathy. Later that evening, the cadets gathered in the mess hall. Conversations buzzed with rumors of the crazy human. Some called her lucky, others called her insane. But when Croth entered, silence fell. He stood by the door, arms crossed. Human Holt, he barked. Arena.
Now.
The others exchanged looks. Some whispered bets, whether she'd survive round 2. In the dim-lit arena, Croth stood beside a larger containment field. Inside, a full-grown dire alpha prowled restlessly. You think your species' sentimentality tames monsters? Croth hissed. Then prove it. Mara eyed the beast, a 7-foot wall of muscle and claws, its breath steaming in the cold air. You want me to bond with that? Not bond, Croth said. Survive. The field dropped. The dire alpha lunged with a roar that rattled the steel walls. The cadets watching from above flinched. But Mara didn't run. She moved like water, sidestepping the charge, letting the creature's own momentum carry it past. Stop fighting, she whispered. You're scared, aren't you? The words weren't for show. She saw it, tremor in its limbs, dilation in its eyes. Not aggression.
Fear.
The alpha roared again, but this time slower, uncertain. Mara extended a hand. The creature hesitated. Then, in a move that made Croth's eyes widen, it lowered its massive head, nostrils flaring as it sniffed her palm. Mara's voice was soft. You don't need to fight to be strong. The creature exhaled, a deep, rumbling sigh, and sat down beside her. The arena fell utterly silent. Croth stared, speechless. His claws twitched. What are you, human? She looked up, smiling faintly. From a world where everything tries to kill us, sir. We learned a long time ago, sometimes the best weapon isn't dominance. It's understanding. Over the following weeks, whispers about Mara spread across the academy. The direwolf cub, nicknamed Nibble, followed her everywhere, refusing to obey anyone else. During drills, it fetched practice grenades and even shielded her during simulated ambushes. Other cadets began to notice that their beasts, once unpredictable, grew calmer around her. She showed them how to read microbehaviors, how to match breathing rhythms, how to stop commanding and start listening. It worked. The dropout rate plummeted. Injury rates halved. For the first time, the Academy's direwolf program recorded near-perfect synchronization scores. But Croth hated it. To him, discipline meant control. Fear kept order. The humans' methods, gentle, defiant, emotional, threatened the foundation of his entire career. He summoned her one night. "Human," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You're making my cadets soft. These are weapons, not pets." Mara met his gaze. Weapons break. Bonds don't. Croth slammed a clawed hand on the desk. "You're dismissed from this program, effective immediately." Mara stood, her tone calm. "You can dismiss me, but you can't dismiss results." And she walked out. The next day, alarms blared across the academy. A containment failure. Someone had tampered with the Dire Alpha's enclosure. The beast rampaged through the corridors, tearing through steel bulkheads like paper. Cadets panicked. Instructors scrambled. Croth armed himself, shouting orders that fell on terrified ears. And then, amid the chaos, a clear voice echoed through the comms. "Don't shoot. Stand down, I'm going in." Croth turned toward the monitor. "Human Holt, what are you doing?" Mara strode into the shattered hangar, unarmed except for her voice. The Dire Alpha loomed over her, eyes wild with rage and pain. A tracking collar sparked violently. Someone had overloaded its restraint chip. Mara moved slowly, Nibble padding beside her. The little cub growled softly, not in challenge, but in reassurance. The Alpha's ears flicked toward the sound. "That's it," she said softly. "You're not alone. It's okay." The giant predator froze. For a long, tense moment, no one dared breathe. Then, in a sound that seemed impossible, the Alpha whimpered, a low, shuddering noise, and lowered itself to the floor. Mara reached out and deactivated the sparking collar. The glow faded. The Alpha's breathing steadied. When she turned back, the cadets and instructors stared in utter silence. Croth lowered his weapon slowly, eyes filled with something between awe and shame. How did you do that?" Mara knelt beside the direwolf and rubbed its massive neck. "Same way I did the first day, sir. I stopped shouting and started listening." Weeks later, the Galactic Alliance reformed its combat training doctrine. The Holt method became standard protocol, psychological synchronization through empathy and trust. Croth retired quietly, but not before placing his service badge on Mara's desk. "For what it's worth," he said gruffly, "you changed everything." Mara smiled. "We all did, sir." Nibble barked, a strange mix between a growl and a chirp, earning a chuckle from the surrounding cadets. As she watched the next generation of trainees approach their direlings with open hands instead of drawn weapons, Mara thought of Earth, of how her people had learned to live among creatures bigger, stronger, and faster, not by conquering them, but by understanding them.